Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp and welcome to our 10 best Nintendo Switch games of the year 2020 Viewers Edition. So in case you aren't aware, a few days ago we put up a community post where we asked people to put forward their 3 best games that released on the Switch in the year of 2020. We had over 200 responses to that post with a total of 96 games put forward. We then gave each person's first placed game 3 points, their second placed game 2 points, and of course their third placed game 1 point, and then tallied up the total scores for each game to come up with the 10 best games released in 2020 on the Switch as per our viewers. Thank you to everyone that did contribute. The games you are seeing at the moment are the games that placed 15th up to 11th, so as not to spoil anything, but without further ado, let's jump in and see exactly how that top 10 panned out. Coming in at joint 9th place then with a total of 24 points, we had Bioshock the Collection. This released in May of 2020 on the Switch in a fantastic week that also saw Borderlands and XCOM 2 release, both of which just missed out on this list. This is a collection of Bioshock Remastered, Bioshock 2 Remastered and Bioshock Infinite, the complete edition. Taking place in the undersea city of Rapture, or Columbia, the city above the clouds, depending on which game you're playing, these stories of a dystopian nightmare were very popular amongst our viewers. Whilst many of the comments voting for this game made it clear they'd played the games before and were delighted to have the chance to play them again on a handheld system, there were also quite a few that mentioned this was the first chance they'd ever had to play these particular games and they were blown away by just how good they were. Also in joint 9th then we had Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, again of course. The Greek mythological setting is put to good use, the combat is engaging, and there's just so much to discover. It joins Doom Eternal as another high profile third party release coming to the Switch late in the year, and it most definitely adds to the console's library. Coming in at number 6 with 46 points was Super Mario 3D All-Stars. This collection of course combines Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario Galaxy, and released in September of this year. Whilst a collection of 3 classic games on one cartridge sounds like an absolute no-brainer, it did come with a few caveats. First of all, it was a time limited release whether you buy it physically or digitally, and it won't be available after March of next year. Secondly, although the games did receive a bit of a touch up, there wasn't a huge amount of effort put in on Nintendo's part. The controls to Mario 64 in particular really could have done with an upgrade. That being said though, when you read the comments in that community post, you realise just how many people haven't played at least one of these games in the past, and playing them for the first time was just as much of a joy to them as those of us that have played them back in the day, and sometimes maybe we forget about things like this. Reading comments of people experiencing these games for the first time really was quite lovely. It took me back to the 13-year-old me getting his Nintendo 64, jumping out of that pipe in the palace garden for the first time, and promptly spending the next hour backflipping and triple jumping around in the courtyard. In 5th place with 56 points, a game that I'll be honest I expected to be slightly higher than it was, this was Ori and the Will of the Wisps. This Metroidvania released on the Switch in September of this year and follows its predecessor Ori and the Blind Forest, of course, in coming to the Switch. Its mixture of incredibly tight gameplay, fantastic visuals, a beautiful soundtrack and great storytelling certainly wowed a lot of people in our comments section, with words like masterpiece being thrown about in some quarters. The term Metroidvania seems to evoke the action of eye-rolling from some people these days due to the fact there are just so many of them, where once perhaps it was met by a bit more awe and wonder, but there are certain games that remind you just how wonderful the genre can be, and either of the Ori games in fact most certainly do that. This game received one of the highest scores ever on the channel when it was reviewed earlier this year, and with that in mind I'll just take this moment to say that any videos on the channel that relate to these games 45 points. In second place is Animal Crossing New Horizons. The overriding theme of this game, as per the comments, was that it was the game that got a lot of people through that first lockdown. In what has been an absolutely crazy year, the serene setting of this game seemed to calm a few people and keep them going through difficult times. Whilst I didn't pick this one up initially because of the lockdown, it was quite hard to find, I did pick it up a couple of months ago, just in time for a second national lockdown over here in England, and whilst I wouldn't say it helped me through that time, I did find the change of pace and the relaxing nature of it absolutely ideal, and constantly found myself returning to the island every night as a way of unwinding. It's a game that lets you do as much or as little as you want to do, and some of the islands that I've seen people create are quite frankly awe-inspiring. But even if your island is full of weeds, with a couple of half-finished shacks because you couldn't be bothered to fulfill what Tom Nook has asked of you, at the end of the day it's your island, and if that's how you want it to look, good for you.